Modi warns new MPs against rumors. PM Modi cautions MPs on fake news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, after being re-elected as the leader of the NDA parliamentary party, advised newly elected MPs, particularly first-timers, to avoid falling prey to rumors and speculations. He urged them to verify all information from reliable authorities. This message followed media reports speculating on departmental allocations and portfolios. Don't believe claims about cabinet berths or documents with my digital signatures, Modi stated, emphasizing the futility of such claims. Addressing all elected MPs at the NDA meeting, he stressed that the country cannot function based on breaking news and accused the opposition of spreading fake news. Modi introduced a new slogan for the NDA: New India, Developed India, and Aspirational India. He reiterated his commitment to nation building, vowing to work tirelessly for the vision of a Viksit Bharat, a developed India, and urged collective efforts for the fulfillment of national aspirations. Lebanon's Hezbollah confirmed attacks on Israeli forces in northern occupied Palestine, resulting in casualties, Al Mayadeen reported Monday. The attacks seemed to support Gaza and Palestinian resistance, retaliating against Israeli aggression in southern Lebanon. Hezbollah targeted two buildings housing Israeli military forces, leading to multiple fatalities and injuries. This escalation is part of ongoing Hezbollah actions against Israeli bases in northern occupied Palestine due to the regime's alleged crimes and genocide. These attacks have forced settlers to evacuate the area. Since the start of the war in Gaza in October 2023, over 37,000 people, mostly women and children, have been killed. Despite 8 months of conflict, Israel has yet to achieve its goals of dismantling Hamas and freeing Israeli captives.
يا عمي حبيبي حبيبي الله أكبر الله أكبر اللهم ارزقني يا رب اللهم اربط على قلبي الصبر مون نحطه في الظل واليوم من اعظم اوصفه اليهود
For the first time in independent India, the Council of Ministers sworn in alongside Prime Minister Narendra Modi includes no representatives from the Muslim minority community. This marks a historic first since Modi took the oath as India's 15th Prime Minister on 9 June, marking his third consecutive term. The last Muslim MP in the Modi cabinet was Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, who served as Union Minister for Minorities until he was not re-elected to the Rajya Sabha in 2022. Previous Modi governments had Muslim ministers, with Najma Heptullah in 2014 and Naqvi in 2019. During Atal Bihari Vajpayee's term, there were also Muslim ministers, including Shahnawaz Hussain and Omar Abdullah in 1999 and Naqvi in 1998. This time, among the 71 ministers sworn in, including 30 cabinet ministers, none belong to the Muslim community. However, the Indian Parliament will have 24 Muslim MPs, primarily from the opposition India Bloc, MEM, and independent MPs. The new cabinet includes non-elected Sikh and Christian MPs, with Ravneet Singh Bittu and George Kurian joining despite not winning their respective elections. Bittu, the grandson of former Punjab Chief Minister Bent Singh, switched from Congress to BJP this year. This notable absence of Muslim representation in the cabinet contrasts with the substantial presence of Muslim MPs in the parliament, highlighting a significant shift in the political landscape. Congress leaders Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra have moved their planned event in Amethi to Raebareli. The event aims to thank voters following Rahul's victory over UP Minister Dinesh Pratap Singh in Raebareli and Congress Kishori Lal Sharma's win against Union Minister Smriti Irani in Amethi. The decision to shift the venue to Buemo Guest House in Raebareli was made to avoid the intense heat. Pradeep Singhal, Congress Amethi District Unit Chief, confirmed that Rahul, Priyanka, and newly elected Amethi MP Kishori Lal Sharma will attend the event. Former Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Rajiv Kumar has called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's newly sworn-in government to tackle unemployment, particularly in the unorganized sector and small and medium enterprises, SMEs. Kumar emphasized the need to finalize the four labor codes, which have faced significant delays. Kumar noted that post-COVID economic recovery has been K-shaped, benefiting large corporations and skilled workers while leaving many at the lower end jobless. He urged easing regulatory burdens on SMEs and highlighted the importance of skilling youth and expanding apprenticeship programs to improve employability. Kumar also stressed the necessity of privatizing public sector enterprises to reduce India's public debt to GDP ratio and improve efficiency. Despite potential coalition challenges, he believes reforms will continue, supported by the pro-reform stance of coalition partners BJP, TDP, and JDU. Prime Minister Modi was sworn in for a third term, marking a historic moment in Indian politics.
One connectivity. So these were the 6 groups that they were all they were broken into, and they had 2-hour discussion there, and then they crystallized the ideas among themselves, and then made the presentation, in front of the to the Prime Minister. I think it's been one of the most productive sessions that I have seen, and we had taken special care that our experts came from all over the country. And that was actually something that the Prime Minister had wanted, and so there was a regional representation, there was sectoral representation, and there was always also very candid discussions across sectors.
What are the 3 big ideas? Or you could say 6.
No, not. You see, the point is that it's very difficult at this time to give you those 3 big ideas or 6 or whatever, because see the line between what is relevant for the budget and not is very blurred. Right. So I would actually be breaching the rule that I had set myself, which is that this was a Chatham House discussion, and it was a closed door. So let me not get into those. Let me just sort of let it suffice for me to say that the ideas ranged from an entire spectrum of the economy. But one thing that a couple of things that I could say is that what came out very clearly today was one that the Prime Minister's call for doubling of farmers' income is not just a pie in the sky. Several speakers said that we must shift our focus from increasing agricultural production, which actually leads to whether the production falls or increases, the agricultural income, farmers' income may or may not increase. So when the production goes up, prices goes down, farmer still remains the same. So many experts said that we should shift from a focus on increasing agricultural production to raising farmers' income, which can come about by improving productivity, by lowering costs, by having greater efficiency, by giving much greater market access to the farmers, making them producers of products rather than commodities, and creating somebody, for example, suggested that you create clusters in different districts, which can specialize in some agricultural product, so that you have the backward and forward linkage.
Retired Madras High Court Judge, Justice A.K. Rajan, has advised the Tamil Nadu government to eliminate the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test, NEET, through legal or legislative means, advocating for higher secondary exam marks as the sole criteria for medical admissions. This recommendation stems from a report by a committee he led, formed after the DMK's 2021 election win. The committee, based on data and public input, highlighted NEET's discriminatory impact on disadvantaged students. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, sharing the report on social media, emphasized DMK's long-standing opposition to NEET. The report suggests legislative action to exclude NEET and normalize scores across different educational boards. It also calls for educational reforms to emphasize learning over rote coaching, aiming to level the playing field for all students. A bill seeking NEET exemption, based on these recommendations, awaits presidential assent after delays from the Tamil Nadu Ghana. Justice Rajan's panel argues that prioritizing HSC scores and addressing socio-economic adversities will promote fairness and social justice in medical admissions. As the monsoon approaches, the Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation and other civic departments have set up 534 monsoon emergency teams to tackle waterlogging, particularly in low-lying areas. These teams comprise 157 mobile teams, 242 static teams, 29 teams for CRMP roads, 30 disaster response force teams, 13 police teams, 41 electricity department teams, and 22 Hyderabad Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewerage Board teams. Officials reported 125 water stagnation points across the city, with solutions implemented to gradually reduce water accumulation. Currently, 32 points are being addressed for complete removal by the next monsoon season. GHMC urges the public not to litter in nalas and requests IT companies to adjust work schedules to reduce traffic congestion. Authorities also advise against opening manhole lids to prevent accidents and ensure public safety. Bigg Boss 17 fame Arun Masheti met Hyderabad MP and AIMIM leader Asaduddin Owaisi to congratulate him on winning the Hyderabad Lok Sabha seat on Sunday, 9 June. Masheti visited the AIMIM camp office in Darussalam with his wife and daughter, presenting Owaisi with a bouquet and a shawl in his unique Hyderabadi style. Owaisi secured the seat by a record margin of 338,087 votes, marking his fifth consecutive win since 2004. The Hyderabad Lok Sabha constituency has been a stronghold of AIMIM for several decades, previously represented by Sultan Salahuddin Owaisi. Arun Masheti, popular for his YouTube channel Achanak Bhayanak Gaming, was a top contestant on Bigg Boss 17. Despite not winning the trophy, he became a fan favorite for his vibrant Hyderabadi touch and quirky style, even mentoring fellow contestant K-pop star Aura on Hyderabadi bass.
No, we are supposed
Ready?
The mortal remains of media baron and Ramoji Group chairman C.H. Ramoji Rao were consigned to flames on Sunday. The funeral, held at Ramoji Film City with full state honors, was attended by family, friends, and well-wishers. His son, Kiro, lit the pyre. Ramoji Rao, who transformed the news and entertainment industry, passed away early Saturday at the age of 88. Dignitaries like former Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, former Chief Justice N.B. Ramana, TDP Chief N. Chandrababu Naidu, Telangana ministers, and film fraternity members paid their last respects. Chandrababu Naidu, who helped carry the bier, expressed his sorrow on X. My heart is filled with deep sorrow as I took part in the final rites and bid adieu to Telugu Doya Ramoji Rao. He may not be among us now, but he will continue to inspire and lead us forward as a guide. His glory shines eternally like the rays of dawn. Ramoji Rao, a recipient of Padma Vibhushan, created a sensation in the media industry with the Enadu newspaper and ETV channels. Andhra Pradesh declared state mourning on June 9th and 10th, flying the national flag at half-mast and cancelling official entertainment. Tragedy struck as a man collapsed while queuing for fish prasadam at Nampally on Saturday. Amid the rush of people seeking relief from respiratory ailments, the unidentified man from Nizamabad district fell and later died in hospital. Organized by the Bathini Goyat family, the annual event commenced at exhibition grounds in Nampally. Patients from various regions queued up to receive the herbal medicine, believed to alleviate respiratory issues, on Mrixira Karti, marking the monsoon's onset. The Bathini family has provided the fish medicine for 178 years, claiming its effectiveness in treating asthma. Despite controversies, the family continues the tradition, offering the herbal paste to a live marl fingerling to administer to patients. Government officials, including Telangana Transport Minister Ponnam Prabhakar, ensure smooth conduct of the event, acknowledging its cultural significance and the Bathini family's long-standing commitment to the community. Following the death of Bathini Harinath Goyad last year, the family carries on the tradition, despite challenges to its efficacy, maintaining its importance for asthma patients seeking relief.
Thanks for watching video. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe.